What? Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. Now we're good. What is going on? Welcome back. Third and 20 podcast, episode 78. My name is Frank Entwistle. We've got Mr. Apparently Fresh Haircut Steed. I'm
Yeah,
looking at
straight
you
out
on
of
the
the cut.
video here. I feel like your hair is still pretty long, to be honest.
Yeah, I've been changing it up recently. Where I've gotten rid of the razor. You know how people get raised on the sides. I have now gone to more traditional way. With the scissor only cut, only cut by the scissor. And I've been doing it for the last couple times. First couple times good. This time I'm not in love with the cut. I feel like it makes my head look really big. I feel like she didn't really blend it in well.
Wait, I
So
didn't know that was actually a
something.
thing. So you can say like on the sides, like all scissor. So how are you dealing with the
Yeah,
side? You're
no,
scissoring
okay.
the sideburns.
Well, no, they do the rate when they touch it up, like around the ears and like the back and the sideburns. She uses the razor, but everything else cut by the scissor, cut by the hand. But yeah, I didn't even know you could do that before. But like remember when I had my long ass hair, like super long? When I had the flow,
Yeah.
kind of, it. I went to the hairdresser or whatever you call them, and she was like, "I don't really want to use a razor on this. I'm just gonna cut it with scissors." I was like, "You can do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, go chop away."
Just chop away. Yeah, you were complaining a little bit before the pod. We were talking. You're saying that this was not a great cut. Not exactly
Well,
what you were looking
like
for.
I feel like I'm a veteran in haircuts now. I mean, 24 plus years of them. It's really starting to grow on me. And I'm
Been in the
sitting here.
system for a while.
Yeah, I've been in the system. I'm a system guy. And you know when you're sitting there on that chair, you could feel and you could tell, you know, if you like the cut or not. And I got about halfway and I saw like all the hair falling out, and I was just like, I looked up and I was like, my head looked like unproportional. Like, I was like, I think it's chopped, low key. But hell, a couple weeks it'll be fine.
Well, the annoying thing about that scenario is that it's like, what do you say? What do you when this is going down?
I
I promise we'll
Yeah,
get to
no,
football in a minute, but like, what do you say when that's happening? Like, how, it's at that
listen,
point it's damage
well,
control, right?
especially like it's right here during Christmas time too, and she had like her little antlers on. She was cool, she's a good person, and like spiritual. Like if she would have caught me like on a bad day, like midsummer, like, and I just watched the Braves blow a lead or something like that. It might have been words been thrown around, but like I was just like, yeah, it looks great, thank you. And then I tipped her, and you have an option of tips at 5, 7, 10. I went with the medium, this way I'm like, I'm not being a cheapskate, only giving you $5. But
Mhm.
then again, I'm not splashing. I'm right there in the mix, and that's where I want to be. I'm in the
Yeah.
hunt, as you could say.
Yeah, well, it's nice. I was kind of in haircut limbo for a while. I didn't
Okay,
really know what to say. I would just go to the standard places. Like your
that's
standard.
my thing.
And like because you were saying this once again before the pod, it's a dice roll, man. When you're going to these places, these
Oh
like
yeah, it's nice.
franchise kind of places, you never know what the hell you're gonna get. But I finally found
Supercuts,
my
great
guy, my
cuts, all of them.
franchise quarterback. I finally have a guy, or it's a gal, I guess. So it's nice. You can kind of
Oh,
go into these
okay.
games, you can go to these haircuts just feeling comfortable. You're getting that level of consistency. Um, so I'm hoping that you can find your guy. You got to go back to the haircut draft, spend a couple first round picks.
I know. I feel like that people trying to find the right hairdresser is just like that GM coach mix, just trying to find that right quarterback. You want that
Yeah.
good mix. At the end of the day, you want to trust your barber because hair does a lot with your appearance. Like it dropped me from a 9.8 to probably a solid 7.3 right now. That's what I got to work with. And then I have to make up with that in other ways. I got to be like my personality has to be a little extra.
Yeah.
Got to bump up the numbers around. But in all seriousness, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna look on the free agency. Maybe I'll pick up a nice little Case Keenum. Get a little Vikings run here and there.
Okay, a little Case Keenum action. All right,
Yeah,
enough with the tomfoolery. Let's get into some picks. So picks are on the
we're
screen for those
tomfoolery.
on YouTube. Me and Steve were both positive again. Well, I mean, I've kind of been positive, but I was dipping down. Steve does what he does
That's 2 weeks
best.
in a row.
You just kind of claw back from when you're down. Steve, I'm looking at your picks. You can find all of our picks from this season, thirdand20.com/historical performance under third and 20 podcast. It's like you'll see it's our 2021 picks. Every single pick that we've taken this year is on there, at least for the pick side. We'll update it with the other shit when it like concludes, like over unders and MVPs and all that stuff. Um, for stuff that we took. But Steve, I think that your picks, I would like. I feel like your picks are like a recovering alcoholic when I look at it. You have a bunch of good weeks, right? You go, okay, 3-1, 5-2, four, you're doing great. And then you relapse. And then you just have one week where
Hmm.
you're just like 1-7. And then then you go, then you have a week or two like that. Then you go back. Then you're a good boy, right? You're okay, 5-2, 4-1, whatever. And then you relapse again. And then just rinse and repeat, but
Well,
you're up
dude,
half a unit.
I think yeah. Well, I think this is the way it is, and like I don't want to sound like braggy here, but the way like since I've been gambling and like especially with my books and stuff, when I'm down money, that's when I'm the best gambler. It's not when I'm up. It's when I'm down and just need like a get out because like for some reason I can just navigate a lock. But when I'm up, I think I just get a little free willy with my money. It's kind of like, oh well, I'm up this many, so it doesn't matter. I kind of like this play, but I'm not in love with it. But I'm just gonna throw it on the card anyways.
Yeah, as we like to say, you get a little penisy. You get a little too
Yeah,
confident. You start taking some stuff you wouldn't normally take. I
I got a little too confident like that woman who cut my hair.
All right, let's get into it.
Shout
Dog of the
out.
week. Steve, you started off with dog of the week last week. It was the Bengals. I told you it worked. Um,
Yeah, good call. Good
actually, we
team.
didn't start. I just posted the pick, so I don't know what I'm saying. Regardless, week 16. Who's your dog of the week this week?
Man, I really it's really tough for me right here. But because
You want me
I'm
to
playing
start?
around with a couple teams. Yeah, you start. I want to see if you take one of my picks, and then I can go off the other one.
All right, my dog of the week. I'm going to be going with the Baltimore Ravens against the Cincinnati
Okay,
Bengals.
okay.
The Ravens are plus 130. The Ravens have been on a little bit of a losing skid here. They've lost the past couple of games. A couple tough losses. Um, and a large part of that has just been because of these fourth down decisions, right? They're trying to win the game. They're trying to be a little ballsy, and it really hasn't worked out for them. At least on like these game winning scenarios. There it did work out for them. What was it against the Browns earlier in the year on a fourth down decision? Because they did win one game with a fourth down decision earlier when they were like kind of really in the groove, but recently it kind of hasn't.
I think it was the Chiefs,
Oh yeah, I think it
wasn't it?
was the Chiefs. I think you're right. But nonetheless, we'll actually talk about some of these analytical decisions. But I think that the Ravens, they're going to pull it together. Lamar, I believe, will be playing this week. But if not, I really liked what we saw of that backup Huntley. I thought that he played tremendously well. I don't think that the Ravens defense is going to get as picked apart by the Bengals as it was their previous matchup and as they did kind of against the Packers. So I'm going to be taking the Ravens plus 130. Not in love with this dog of the week, but I think that plus 130 is just enough juice for me to want to take him.
Yeah. Coming on to the pod, that was going to be my dog of the week, and then like I started looking at other ones, and that's why I kind of stumbled there. It's something about this Ravens team. Like I love Lamar, I love Harbaugh. Their defense got enough playmakers. I know the Ravens been banged up all year, and they're right here in the mix. Right, they win this game, they're back as the 4 seed. Yeah, I mean, a month ago they were the 1 seed in the AFC, and they've had a little bit of bad spill, but I just can't get away from, especially last time the Bengals kicked the shit out of them, right? Like it was
Yeah.
just not even, it was like 14-17 or something like that. I don't expect it to be this time around, but just pure gambling right here. Ravens are one of the worst teams against the spread. They're just not good at covering. But then again, you find in this suit where the Ravens are a team that has been here, especially past couple of years with Lamar. The Bengals, like, yeah, you had a good run. Your over and win totals is already hit, but how like what is your letdown? Like, where do you stop? How far can you go? I don't know. I think that's like an interesting game, and I think that's why I'm just staying away from it.
Yeah, well, this is just kind of going with my strategy, right? I like to take
Yeah,
coin
yeah,
flipping
it's
kind of
your
games where I
strategy.
get value.
Yeah,
Well, who's your dog of the week
that
then?
yeah. That being said, I'm going with the Bills money line plus 115. Listen, the first time they played, it was that really windy game. Matt Jones threw what 3 passes? Like, okay,
Yeah.
and the Bills like you got to stop the run, right? And they did it to an extent. Damian Harris had that big, huge touchdown run, and like how many points were taken off the board by the Bills when they would march down there and like and the wind would just kick it back from the field goal because it was like 40-mile-per-hour wind or something crazy like that. This Bills team is like every year it's like a team that's hovering around that 7-5 mark, and then but is a better team than that, and then they really take off. For instance, like the Bucks last year, I think Bills fall right into suit with that. And this is a big game for the division, is seeding wise too. I'm going to take the Bills on the road. I like Josh Allen to get it done here. I mean, of course they played the Thurs last week. The Thurs ain't doing anything special right now, but I think this is when they start kind of like kicking into that second gear. I think it was like okay, like I compared them to the Bucks when they played the Bucks and they were down big in that second half, but came back and almost won. That reminded me of the Bucks Chiefs game from last year when the Bucks were down big in the first half, and then they had that big second half and almost came back and won. But that second half carried over for the rest of the season. I think that's what you're going to see here for the Bills.
I like that a lot. I think one of the reasons why for both teams that might happen is the Bills seem to finally have gained the trust of Devin Singletary, where beginning of the season it was Singletary was kind of the guy. Then Zach Moss definitely took over. Then all of a sudden it was Breda who seemed to be getting a brunt of the workload, and now back to Devin Singletary, at least apparently according to the coaches. So if they're able to get a consistent running attack going, especially later in the season, if you just look at the trends across the league, pass defense has gotten a lot. But for 2 years in a row now, quarterbacks were kind of having a frenzy. There was a lot of points being scored first half of the season, and then as the weather got colder, defenses kind of started figuring things out. Points have tightened up, and you're seeing quarterbacks are having a little bit of tougher time here against these defenses later in the season. Um, so that's going to be big for the Bills. I actually like that a lot, and I'm going to be tailing you with the Bills. I'm also going to
Okay.
be taking the Bills money line this week against the Patriots for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned. And man, this is a close game, and I just think that the Bills are being undervalued for one of the first times all season.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so too. Like, I mean, I would be willing to put a future bet on this team winning the Super Bowl.
yeah, I mean,
Just
I had them
like
in the Super Bowl. I didn't have them winning it, but they were in my Super Bowl pick. Um, it's a divisional game. I like this Bills team a lot still.
yeah,
And
and
now is the time to strike when dude you are getting a better Bills team than the Patriots. I think the Bills are still more talented than the Patriots. The Patriots are playing well. They have a great defense, but the Bills do too. The Bills have a phenomenal defense, and people were acting like that defense played terribly against the Patriots in their last matchup. It's just not
they did.
true. They had one long touchdown. Without that one long touchdown, where their defense was kind of not that they were kind of getting lulled to sleep. It's just they were a little bit too comfortable because they were destroying the Patriots running attack. And it just one play, boom, 60s or it was like a 74-yard touchdown. The
I
safety
that
bit
game,
good
yeah.
blocks, and and they got a couple pin and pulls. I think that they've learned from that game. They're not going to get bullied. Not that they necessarily even got bullied the last match. This is going to be a completely different ball game.
Oh, 100%. That's what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, they're not gonna have to prepare for the run 95% of, not even 95. It's probably 99%. They have
But
to
even
prepare for the
so,
run
like,
there.
dude, go ahead, Bill Belichick. Go ahead and run the ball 40 times because the Bills and what they should have done because they were a little bit scared to throw the ball early on. It started working at the end of the game. I think the wind may have died down in that game because it was like
A little bit.
35-mile-an-hour winds, 30-mile winds consistently with 50 to 60-mile-an-hour gusts.
Yeah.
So I think it may have dwindled down, which helped them throw the ball. I don't know. I wasn't tracking the fucking wind, but
Yeah. Not a meteorologist.
regardless, when they let's just assume that wind didn't die down. It was the same throughout the game. When they like got desperate and were forced to throw the ball, it started working, right? That was
Mhm.
their team. They got a little bit too caught up in the elements and were a little bit too scared to throw the ball. Obviously, you can't go out there and throw the ball 60 times in 50-mile-an-hour winds, but this game is not going to be like that last game. The elements are not going to completely destroy your heavy passing attack. If the Patriots want to go ahead and run the ball 40 times, try to chew up clock, and only put up 14 to 17 points, I think that plays right into the Bills' hands.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're in prime position to win this game. I still I think it's a little bit of coin flip, but at the end of the day, if it ends up with a coin flip, I know I'm betting against Belichick here and never like that's never really a recipe to success. But I'm betting on the quarterbacks. Love Mac Jones. Give me Josh Allen. He knows it's playoff time. He needs to be the MVP guy.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just it really feels like the tides have flipped, right? Last game, the Patriots were coming in with the chip on their shoulder. It's a big divisional game.
Yeah, now they have to chip.
Yeah,
The
now
Bills
the
do.
Bills are coming in hungry with the chip on their shoulder, saying, "You guys embarrassed us at home prime time last game. We're gonna come out on fire." And like you said, I think this is a coin flip kind of a game, and I'm getting plus 115 on a coin flip.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully they
honestly,
just don't
I
screw
would
you
have the
again.
Bills as the favorite this game. Maybe I'm alone in that, but if I were setting the lines, I'd have the Bills as the favorite. I think that the Bills have a better chance to win than the Patriots.
I think I would probably put it. Well, like that's the thing, right? The line is
It's
two and
like
a
two
half.
points. Yeah, 2.5.
Yeah, so like they're given.
Give them the
Usually you
home
give
field,
what
right? Yeah, home
yeah
field's like two, three
you give
points.
yeah you give the home team about a field goal. So there you go. I mean, Patriots have a good home field.
You
All
want to know
right.
what I'm scared of though? Is that I'm pretty sure if you remember last year when the Bills and was it last year? Maybe it was 2 years ago when the fucking refs boned the Bills. There was that one pass interference call, if you remember, in the end zone. Maybe I'm getting this mixed up, but there was a touchdown or a pass interference in the end zone that completely boned the Bills, and I'm pretty sure the Bills ended up losing that game on the road in New England. So that's the one thing I'm
Really?
concerned about is the damn refs.
Yeah, they seem to always go Belichick's way. You know.
Well,
I don't
especially
know.
at home, man. I don't know.
Well, I'll say something about the refs. It just depends which whoever bets on like and with on Vegas, dude. Vegas is paying these refs to call some of these
You think
plays.
so?
Dude. Oh, 100%. They're getting paid. Some of these calls are just egregious. But that being said, I mean it's a conspiracy, so like don't dive into it. That being said, playing a total. You said last week the unders were nice. Going with an under here, nobody likes an under. I kind of like an under, but I'm a defensive guy. Going with a shitter game right here. I got the Lions Falcons under 43. There you go. That's it. That's
That's
the
funny
play.
because I was going to I was gonna stop taking picks because I'm not huge into any of these games. But there was one last pick that I was debating this entire week of every single player. Well, the player props really aren't out right now, unfortunately. We usually record on Fridays when they usually get released like Friday midday, somewhere around there. They kind of come out all over the place. But I was thinking about taking this Lions Falcons under 43, and I'm going to tell
Yeah,
you,
it makes
fuck it.
sense. It makes sense, right? Like,
The only thing I hate is that I don't get this. Like, this is a dome game. That's the one thing that I don't like, and I still
no,
think
I
that Matt
love
Ryan is
that.
good.
Well,
Why do you
no,
like the dome?
no. This was my complete rationale right here. I was surprised it was at 43. I was expecting 40.5. The Falcons suck at the
Oh
bench,
yeah.
dude. They don't score. They don't move the ball. Their one lone home win this year was in London. So they don't play well here. But the one thing they do, at least this season, is beat bad teams, right? They get demolished against good teams, but they beat the bad teams. So it's kind of like, all right, the Lions, we know they're a bad team. Yeah, they just beat the Cardinals. But I'm confident that the Falcons can play that. And their defense, it's just like, the Falcons defense plays well against bad teams. So maybe they can do it here. And like the Falcons are not going to move the ball. I'm more like fixated on this with the Falcons' point of view because I think the Falcons kind of control how this total goes. If they come out there and Cordell's a beast and Russell Gage has another breakout week and they score 28 points, then it's probably chalked.
I'm trying to see I'm trying to see where the Falcons are in rush defense this year. I actually think they're
Oh, it's
towards
like
the
top.
bottom.
Oh, yeah. No, they're bottom in each category.
Are they really?
Everything. I think our pass defense is not terrible, but that's because of AJ Terrell.
Yeah, they're 23rd, but
That's not bad.
the last 3 games they've actually been a lot better because I remember last year, yeah, the last 3 games they've been top 10 in rush defense.
Really? Jack Wilson just ran for 100 yards against us.
Yeah, so like yeah, last week was rough against but that's the Niners though. The Niners are also like the best running
Oh,
team
yeah.
in football.
Yeah,
Um
they're going to dice us up.
That's the one. That's just the weird thing about the Falcons is that sometimes I feel like you get a rush defense because you got Grady Jarrett, you got Deion Jones, you have a couple of other decent players up front. I think losing Devondre Campbell has hurt your rush defense a little bit, but I mean
Yeah,
that's
I don't
kind of
know
like a
about Deion, dude.
hindsight kind of a thing because he's playing like a fucking All Pro in Green Bay.
Now he's like a top 5 linebacker in the league. It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
and
Good for Dre, though.
I mean you guys like outside of Deion, like that linebacker spot has kind of been an issue for you guys.
Oh, dude, no. The thing is, like, you look at Dion. Dion is like, I don't know how much Falcons football you've been watching. Probably not much. And it's really tough to see, even though we're technically in the hunt still. Dion's not that good anymore, or at least having a really down year. The
Dang, that
past couple
stinks.
games, well, like coverage he's fine, right? He's good coverage at linebacker, but he is getting ran over like every single play. It's who's playing well is Faceti Orko. So like you got him, but this game just feels like an under game. Like a nice little 17-13 Falcons dub.
Well, here's the one thing that I like about this matchup, though, for the Falcons defense is that this Lions team, for the most part, the Lions are inconsistent. Their offense has been playing a little bit better, but this is not a Lions team that is your classic pound the rock type of rushing attack, especially when DeAndre Swift is playing. I mean, you got a lot of the former Saints coaches on this coaching staff. They want to use DeAndre Swift as that Alvin Kamara. And then, Jamal Williams isn't anything necessarily special when he plays. I'm not even sure he's playing. I know he hasn't the past couple of weeks. So, like, you have guys like Craig Reynolds and just a whole slew of random running backs. This is not a very powerful. It's like the opposite running attack of the 49ers, at least for me.
Well, yeah, I also think it's a good matchup like that, right? Because like that's the way I saw it. If I'm comparing, like DeAndre Swift is a good back, right? But if I'm comparing the scheme fits of these two teams right here, I knew going in the 49ers were going to be able to fucking move the ball with us. I was like, you got to score like 30 points to be in this game. Here it's like, like I'm confident in our defense to stop this off.
Yeah, I think that if the Lions are going to look to beat your linebackers with speed, well, that's the one thing that your linebackers are good with is that.
Oh, they're fast.
Deion and Fusati, like they'll be able to compete with speed backs, and if you're looking to use your running backs in the passing game, well, that plays right into Deion's hands, right? I mean, we've seen obviously, Deion has been having a down year according to year, but we've seen him do well against a guy like Alvin Kamara. I can only imagine that he'd have some success mitigating an injured DeAndre Swift if he plays.
Yeah, and it's like Dion having a down year, but like at least my standards of Dion, who's one of the more
The top
underslept
linebackers in the
linebackers.
league is what you're expecting.
Yeah, he's not playing at that level right now, or it hasn't been like that in the past couple games. So, you never know. At least we got AJ Terrell.
I'm only taking. Oh yeah, AJ Terrell. Dude, the fact that he didn't make the Pro Bowl is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Dude, PFF graded him as the #1 corner.
Yeah, he's given up less than like 200 yards this season.
Dude, they gave Trayvon Diggs it, right? Because he has 10 picks. I mean, AJ Terrell has 2. I don't understand. Whatever. Dude, the Pro Bowl is such a joke. I mean, even though Kyle Pitts made it, it's a joke. You want All Pro. You don't want Pro Bowl.
Yeah, it's just. I really think that they should take the fan voting out. I don't understand why the fan voting is a thing still. It's everyone knows it's dumb. Everyone. Maybe they're just trying to drive engagement. I don't know. But I'm
well, is it all?
No, I think there's like it's like some weird form. At least how it used to work. I know they've changed it a little bit. I think don't quote me on this, but I thought it was like half fan vote, half like player and coach vote or something, or like
okay, that's how the MLB does it.
Something along the lines of that. Maybe it might be pure all fan vote now. I have no idea. But yeah, my picks are done. I am chilling like a villain with the Ravens, Bills money line, and this Lions Falcons under.
I only got 2 picks, right?
Yeah.
I gotta take something on Saturday night. At Christmas Day, gotta take a bet. I am going to take. I'm looking at the Colts Cardinals game.
See, what I wanted to take was an Antonio Brown to score or like a Tyler Johnson to score for the Bucks. See if there's any value on the Bucks pass catchers, but those lines aren't out yet. So
that sucks.
It is what it is. But I was thinking that there could definitely be some value there.
100%. You know what? I'm going to take the over 48.5 in Colts Cardinals.
Interesting
because, believe it or not, the Colts are actually one of the top teams, like record-wise, against the over.
Wait, you said 48.5?
Yeah, 48.5.
Okay.
That's what I got. But they do really well in the over. If you betted on them this whole year, just bet Colts overs, you'd be up. Let me see if that trend continues. Cardinals, I mean, you got Kyler Murray, so he could always have like that MVP like kind of game where he scores 30. Like what Carson Wentz is doing, dude. Like I looked at Carson Wentz's stat line the other day and how everybody just says he throws bad picks. He has like 4 picks on the year. So he's like, it's just like
he's been phenomenal this year. It's just the problem with Wentz is not that he bad picks. It's just ugly when he turns the ball over.
Yeah, that's what it's just weird.
Especially because the fumbles, he has like really interception-y looking fumbles. It's not like a standard, an edge rusher will just do a little ghost move, get around the outside, and then chop his arm when he's throwing it. It's like he starts to panic, and then he'll just like throw it behind the line to someone who's just not there. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Or, that one, I'm not sure if they ruled as an interception or a fumble. I think it was against the 49ers. Maybe it was against the Ravens where, like, he's about to escape the pocket and he just flips it right to a defender. And it's like, it stinks because we all saw what he was trying to do. The ball just slipped out of his hand. There was someone open. But it looks like he just kind of flipped it right to a defensive player. And it's like, dude, come on. What are we doing? But he has stopped that. He has stopped a lot of that.
And the Colts are, right back in the mix in the AFC and right back in the mix in that division.
Well, you want to know what helps is when you could just turn around and hand it off to Jonathan Taylor every play, and the guy's a fucking animal.
He's got to be the line. I mean, I think last time I checked, Brady is still the favorite. I think his odds went actually from minus to plus on Brady last week because the goose egg that the Saints put on him. But I mean, like Jonathan Taylor's been the best player in the league this year.
Dude, I mean, I remember we were talking because you were, just we've talked about this way episodes ago, but that draft night, you were texting me because I remember you took Clyde Edwards-Helaire to be the first running back drafted. And I was like 1,000% sure that Jonathan Taylor, if there was a running back to be drafted in the first round, it was Taylor. And I was telling you, I went through like this 2 paragraphs of text, like for all these reasons. You're like, nah, I'm going CEH. And I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
good for you
crazy.
because CH hit. And it was like, what were the odds on that? It was pretty ridiculous.
It was plus 3,000, so I bet
Oh my
$10 to
God,
make
that's
300.
nuts. That was nuts. I
Bought me a couple rounds of golf during COVID.
But dude, still ridiculous that he was not a first round pick. I see all these
Oh yeah,
arguments on
isn't it?
Twitter.
Isn't it? It's crazy because like you look at him, like compare him to this draft class, right? We don't know what NTN's got because he's been banged up. But Najee seems like he's a very good back. You know, he's gonna be a do it all back. I think you got to get some line pieces, and then it'll really like. And I know because Colts have a great O line, but where does he like go in this draft? He's got to be the first running back off the board. Still,
the problem with Jonathan Taylor, and this is what people don't want to admit. And I actually kind of got clowned by.
Oh, it was the mileage.
No, it's not I think it's the passing game. That was the problem. It's not like Taylor was bad in the passing game, but it's the same thing with Javonte to a certain extent, right? Javonte, it's not like he's bad. He can catch the ball and he can pass block, but you look at Najee's a way better pass blocker and he's a way better pass catcher. ETN is like way more dynamic in the passing game. That's why they go in the first round. Look at the backs that went over Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They're the 2 best pass catching backs in the country that year, right? Outside of Najee, who was a first round pick the next fucking year, right? Like,
I feel like DeAndre's done more than Clyde. I don't think Clyde's done shit since week 1 against Houston last year.
Yeah, he's been having a rough go, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it sucks. I still like him, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, dude, it's like this year. I thought that. Now, I wasn't as confident in this, but if I were a team, I love Javonte Williams. He was my guy. If I was going to take a running back in the late first round, it was going to be Javonte. And the thing is, though, is that the jury was kind of out. You could kind of tell that he was getting that early second round buzz because of the fact that he's just not that. That's the thing, right? Because you have all these people that are saying, you can't draft a running back in the first round. And I kind of agree. But I think where the coaches and the GM see it is that they're not taking just a running back; they're taking a weapon, right? I mean, are you done?
Yeah, no, picks? Exactly. Yeah, I'm chilling.
Okay, I'll take the picks off the screen. That's.
I mean, look, yeah. I think it has to do with Kamara because Kamara, he's a running back, but he's a weapon, right? He does so much more than just run the ball. Look at Eckler, look with because at the end of the day, if Keenan Allen's closed up. Eckler's somewhere underneath, and then he's fast enough to go get 10, 15 yards.
Well, in the Steelers' case, right, they wanted a guy like a Le'Veon, where it hasn't necessarily worked out this year, but it was supposed to be like a good check down option for Ben, a guy that you can split out wide, and if he's one-on-one with a linebacker, you can throw a slant on like a third or a fourth and short with a favorable matchup. And then if it's zone, you just go to like a guy like Deontay Johnson, right, or a Claypool or something.
Yeah.
But it seems to be what teams want. If you can, look, Christian McCaffrey, top 10 pick. I don't see anyone complaining that he was a bad pick. Saquon Barkley, I think that everyone's saying he was overdrafted, but dude, if you get the Saquon Barkley his rookie year that broke the rookie reception record for running backs, I don't think anyone's complaining too much that that's a terrible draft pick.
Listen, that's just one thing that it happens with quarterbacks too. Is the player that bad or is the franchise that bad? The G-men just might be that bad, dude. They might just be that bad.
Well, the thing with Saquon that's annoying is that he's been dropping a lot of passes. His hands don't seem to be as reliable as they were his rookie year, and he still he's a home run hitter still, which I remember you didn't like that out of Saquon. You were actually kind of a Saquon hater. Because
I thought, coming out of college, I thought he was overrated as hell.
And I don't think Saquon was a bad player, But yeah, I agree. I was more on your side than I'm going to take Saquon with the second overall pick in the draft, just because of the fact that I do not really believe in home run hitting running back. I want a
Well, like,
consistent dude. Like if you were to give me, I mean, maybe it's because I grew up watching the Steelers, right? I want that 4 or 5 yards a carry. And a guy like Jonathan Taylor, I thought at least, or a Javante, he gives you that upside of being able to break like 9 tackles and give you these long runs too.
yeah.
But when push comes to shove, unless you're CJ 2K, it's hard, or maybe Adrian Peterson is prime. You don't, no running back really consistently gets long runs. And if they do, it's usually because of the defense or your offensive line. It's usually not because of the running back.
Yeah, I felt like when they were just picking him at second there, you're expecting this guy to be Barry Sanders. And, like, the one game that sold me on Saquon in college is when Penn State played Rutgers, I think it was, and he rushed for 30 yards. I was like, you're telling me this dude's a good running back? He went 15 for
You
30
said
against
sold you, so
Rutgers.
like sold you on being a bust.
That like sold
Okay.
that I like would I take Saquon in the back end of the first round? Yes, probably. Like right, like who wouldn't? Because he's a beast talent, right? Like he's just built different. Like his legs are huge or whatever. If I'm sitting there with the second overall pick, you can't miss on this pick, right? You can't. It's just like with the Falcons picking at fourth. Yeah, you can pick the future quarterback, but you don't want to miss there. You can just take a beast player. I still would have taken Quentin Nelson at 2. Boom, just give him to me.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting debate, whether or not you. I mean,
And they could use a Quentin Nelson.
I
Because
see.
Hernandez ain't getting it done.
Yeah, I'm not so gung ho on the never draft a running back in the first round. But I do agree with the why the hell am I drafting a running back with a top 5 pick? Okay, if Saquon fell to pick 9 or 10, okay,
Yeah, then we're
yeah,
talking.
that's fine. But yeah, you're right. There's like 3 positions I'm not taking with a top 5 pick: kicker, punter, running back. It's just how it is, man.
I
And I'm
would.
I'm willing to reach, like, because if you remember the argument against Quentin Nelson, which we both didn't agree with, was that a guard is a luxury pick. Now the NFL has changed a smidge since, where especially with these RPOs and a lot more gap schemes becoming meta in the NFL again. Like the guards are definitely more important, but even its safety is looked at like that too, right? Where safety is kind of a luxury pick. Dude, I'm sorry, but if Derwin James is sitting there where
Yeah.
he was for 16 fucking picks, I had this guy mocked at the 4th pick of the damn draft. 16 picks.
Yeah,
I,
and
I was
just look how much of a
screaming at the
stud he
screen for
is.
the Steelers to trade up for him. Like it's Derwin fucking James. I don't believe in the luxury pick for just insanely
Well,
talented
I
players
don't
outside of those
believe
3
that.
positions.
Yeah, also, I think safety, like, every position is important, right? But, like, safety, I feel like, especially on the defense, is crucial, right? Like,
Yeah,
you
the
need a good
thing is,
safety.
the
You can
argument with
change your
safety
defense.
is that there's so many good safeties. Like it's not that safety isn't important. I don't
There
agree
are a
with
lot
this
of good
argument.
safeties,
I really do
kind
not
of.
agree with this argument. But this is the argument: is that same thing with the running backs? Kind of is that there's so many good safeties that instead you can go and find in free agency or in a later round of the draft an average safety and then spend that pick on a different position that's more impactful. Now I don't agree with that because sorry, there ain't too many Derwin Jameses roaming around. Like last time I checked, this guy's fucking insane. You look at the Chargers
Yeah.
defense with and without him. Just look at the numbers last week against the Chiefs. Travis Kelsey, when Derwin James is in the game,
Hmm.
one catch for like 4 yards, maybe like 2 catches for 10 yards. Once he goes out of the game, all of a sudden the Chiefs offense figured out how to get the ball to Travis Kelsey. Wonder
Yeah.
why that is. Like,
And I think, like, especially in this next draft, I think teams will look at Derwin James falling to the 16th pick and be like, okay, like, this can't happen again. And you'll see, like, Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame, he'll go top 10, something like
mm,
that. Because that kid's crazy, too. That kid, maybe, I would have to see their film side by side, but I think he's, like, a little more highly regarded coming into it than Derwin James. Like, everybody knew Derwin James was a beast. Like, You didn't have to watch Florida State football to know who Derwin James was, but I think everybody knows who Kyle Hamilton is. I think that would be fun too.
Yeah,
But,
I haven't watched a ton of Kyle Hamilton. The thing that Derwin James, you could have just played him everywhere. Like realistically, you could have played him at linebacker and he'd still be a beast, right? You could play him at fucking corner and he'd probably still be pretty damn good. That's why I thought, like, dude, top 5. Like, I feel like he's what you wanted Minka to be, right? Because remember, Minka was the positionless D back, and then
yeah,
that didn't really work
he
out.
started out
Miami,
at corner.
yeah, and then the Steelers
Well,
were
he
just
did
like,
start out
okay,
at
we'll
corner.
we'll put you at center fielder, and then all of a sudden he's a beast again. Derwin James, I think, is what people wanted Minka to be, and what he should have been drafted like Minka at, right? Like even ahead.
Well, sometimes, you just got to put your best athlete in a position where they can win at, like what they're comfortable with, and just be like, "Yo, go make a play." And I think that's what both of them are able to do in their current scenarios.
Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of Notre Dame games, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch. Um,
Tune into the Oklahoma State game then. Oh, Kyle Hamilton's probably not playing. Though.
no, he's not playing, so yeah, I'm gonna have to watch some of that Kyle Hamilton film. I mean, dude, I think that this draft class in general has been kind of overrated. I saw a tweet not too long ago that was saying like there wouldn't be a single pick from this year's draft that would go in the top 10 of last year's, and obviously last year's draft was very good, but I still think that there's
the
some
kid from
players.
Oregon. The kid from Oregon would have
Thibodeau.
Yeah, Thibodeau would have won in the top 10.
There's some nice pass rushers this year.
Because like last year, that was I say weak because Barmore and guys like that are studs, right? But it wasn't like the Bosa's coming out or
there's a kid from Utah. He's got a
Miles
weird name, but he's a stud too. He's really good. He's a great.
Oh, you got Aiden Hutchinson too.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson. Like it's funny. Last year and this year completely flopped in terms of pass. Like this year's pass rush class is kind of like last year's corner class. Where like, dude, you could have had your run of the mill. Basically, every fucking corner in the damn draft was good.
You could have got a good corner at 6th round.
And now I think that you're going to see a thing with pass rusher, right? If you need an edge rusher, dude, now's your time. Go ahead and pick them because come mid-late first round, there's going to be some good players on the fucking board. Pass rusher.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into the next topic because bowl game got switched. Rutgers has found their way into the bowl game.
Let's go, Shiano Man.
Yeah, Shiano Man does it. They sneak in because Texas A&M, COVID running through their locker room, so they aren't playing anymore. And we have to change our pick. I'm going to be taking Wake Forest, though. I really don't think that if we get the same Wake Forest that was coming up in a lot of these other games in the year, I don't think that Rutgers has the offense to keep up with them.
How crazy would it be, though, if the Shiano Man, doesn't get a bowl, then he gets a bowl here, gifted to him from Texas A&M. Jimbo Fisher called him up, hey, you want a bowl? And the Shiano Man rallies up his team and beats Wake Forest. Could it happen?
Are you picking it?
Well, is anybody from Wake Forest sitting out? Like, no shot, right? Like, no one from Wake Forest is getting drafted. Maybe
I don't know if Sam Hartman is sitting out, then that might change me up a little bit.
I think Wake Forest fans wanted him sitting out in the ACC championship. So that might have helped.
Dude, I see this article from December 5th. Sam Hartman is killing his draft stock. Like,
okay. You know what? Screw it. The Rutgers, the Scarlet Knights, they were my team. They were like my underdog kind of team when we first picked in the Big Ten. I'm riding with it. I think fate is giving us the Shiano Man, taking his team to a bowl game here. They're going to fight. They're going to beat this Wake Forest. It's going to be a gritty game. It's not going to be a pretty game. But Shiano Man wins this one.
All right. Well, you're on the rut. I'll give you. Listen, you did say that Rutgers was your most underrated, your underrated team.
But like, what's it to get called? Because technically speaking, they didn't even make a bowl game until,
But they just made the bowl game. They just made a fucking bowl game, baby.
Shout out Texas A&M. Thanks, Jimbo. Two teams I really love coming into the season, just helping out. dude, is this a Marvel movie? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, helping each other out for you. They just called each other up. There you go. All right, let's go into our next topic, the analytics. There's been a huge debate every single week. Like every single week,
Nice.
the past couple of weeks, because you saw the Chargers against the Chiefs on Thursday night last week, um, where the Chargers went for it on basically every fourth down. They said fuck field goals, fuck them field goals. Our kicker sucks. We're not playing his ass, and they went for it a whole bunch, and they ended up losing the game by 6 points in overtime. And everyone was so quick to point out they passed up on 3 field goals. That's 9 points if you make them all. 9 - 6 is 3. You would have won the game. And then same thing with the Ravens, right? The Ravens against the Packers last week. They've been aggressive all season. They decided, hey, we just scored a game tying touchdown to make it 31-30. There's actually really cool audio with John Harbaugh talking to like Mark Andrews about whether or not they should go for two. They're aggressive. They go for two. Do not convert. End up losing that football game. I kind of want to start this one out, Steve, because
Yeah, go ahead.
man, you have all these people, and it's funny because after the games, you have all these like old former players and a couple of former coaches. Like it seems like they're very anti aggressiveness and anti analytics and anti going for it. And
Yeah, they got boomer
I
energy about
I
it.
don't really
It's just what
agree
it
with
is.
that. I don't really agree with it. Now I didn't agree with every single going for it for the Chargers. I disagree with one. And I didn't like the first time they went for it at the 5 yard line, like first drive of the game when it was 0-0, because I am personally a fan of if it's a tie ball game, I want the field goal. Barring crazy circumstances where it's like, okay, they have Aaron Rodgers and there's a minute 56 left and they have 3 timeouts and I'm kicking a field goal. Okay, to go up like 1 point, different story, right? Different story there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the first quarter, first drive of the game, I get a chance to just take the lead. We had an unfortunate drop. Mike Williams just got hurt, right? He just dropped like 2 passes around the goal line. Um, I'm taking the points, man. I'm just taking the points. I'm taking the lead because I get the lead. That's more important to me. I think every single other fourth down decision in that game and goal line to go for it, right? I agree with. And you have one that the popular one that people didn't like was the one at halftime. There's like 3 seconds left. You're up 14-10 against the Chiefs, and instead of kicking the field goal to go up 17-10, they went for it. I actually really like that call because to me, and you might disagree with me, what's the point of going up 17-10 compared to going up to being up 14-10 where you could be up 2 scores? To me, that's all that matters. Do I get 2 scores? It's the fucking Chiefs. Right? If we're playing
Yeah.
the Seahawks, they can't score a point. They can't even get a first down, let alone points. Yeah, give me a field goal. But to me, against the Chiefs, 17-0, 14-0 at halftime, it's basically the same fucking thing. It doesn't matter. That field goal's not making a difference when push comes to shove in the fourth quarter. You know the Chiefs are going to come out here and start scoring points in the second half, right? So I think that decision there and the other ones are fine. So I'm curious to hear what you think of it.
I agree to some point what you're saying. First of all, the people that are complaining about going for it on fourth down are the same people that turn on Madden every night and go for it on 4th and 10 from their own 25.
Yeah.
Like, but that being said, listen, Brandon Staley is not going to change his way of thinking. He said after the game, "That's who we are. That's what we do." All right. I like it because, like, as a fan, I don't like seeing the punter or the kicker come on the field because, like, dude, like, why are they part of football sometimes? Like, unless you're cool, like, what are we doing? But I think there's a time and place where you do kick the field goal, right? When the situation matters, especially like, I don't know, like, it's really tough to say, but like, you brought up the 14-10, and like, if they kick the field goal there, it makes it 17-10. They're up there. say it doesn't matter. It's still a one-score game. I'm looking at it as if I'm just a fan of that team. I'm going into halftime with just a thought, okay, the worst they could do on this first drive is just tie the game and then we get the ball. But now I'm thinking, all right, now if they score, they have to lead, then we're down the 8 ball again. You know, I think it's just you got to play your cards right with it. I'll agree with Brandon Staley. I have no problem with it. And I had no problem with Harbaugh going with it either. Honestly, because it would have sent the game into OT, and then you would have had to play Aaron Rodgers in overtime. And are you going to be Aaron Rodgers in overtime with Tyler Huntley? Maybe if you get the ball first, you were moving the ball really well. But then again, that defense can rise up to the occasion. So I agree with that. Like you're hot, you're moving the ball, go for it. I I got no problem with it. I think there's just a time and place where it needs to be settled. I think Staley might have got a little too aggressive with it a little bit because if I'm a Chargers fan, I know if Arthur Smith is doing that, and like the Falcons are competitive, right? Like we're in the playoffs and like we're in the hunt. We're playing for the division right here. I don't know that I'd be questioning too a little bit.
So the one argument I have just against that halftime one is you're saying, oh, okay, the worst they can do in that first drive is tie up the game. Like, I just think that if you're going into the expectation of, oh, we're starting to take our foot off the gas pedal and start managing the score line come the second half, like that, you're not winning that game, man. You're not
Well,
going to
that's
win
why I
like that.
said I thinking as a fan. That's how I would be thinking because I'm a fan of losers. So I'm just like, how many points can I get?
Yeah, to me, only thing that matters going into halftime is are we up one or two scores or more, I guess. And being able to go into halftime up two scores, over 10 points,
I mean,
way
dude,
more important than the extra three, so that we're not lose. Like we no matter if we're up one, two, or three scores against the Chiefs, we have to score more points to win that game. Um,
yeah, you're not gonna
but
shut them out.
so aside from that first drive, because especially at the goal line, it's tough, right? Because you can I think I've seen models where people use just your overall fourth down rate as the go for it on fourth down rate at like the 3 yard line or 5 yard line. Um, I don't, dude. That's not right to me because that when that field condenses, man, you
You
have
don't
you
get it.
have a free safety, right? That side, that back of the end zone is a free defender for you as a defense. If you want to play like, say you're playing like man and you're just taking away everything underneath, I get an extra defender. Whereas if I'm at the 45-yard line and you want to play press man under with no safety help, and on the Chargers, you bet your ass I'm saying, Keenan Allen, go run a fucking go and we'll take that one-on-one. Because that's a dream.
Yeah,
We're never going to find a better scenario for that play.
yeah.
Um,
A similar thing happened last week too with the going on it with the fourth down. It was in the Falcons Niners game. Like the Falcons got that freak fumble, from the kickoff, and they're down there by like the two. They Roman Cordell. It, they said he was in initially, then they reviewed it and said he wasn't in. I don't agree with the call still. But, next play they don't get it. They're like at the one. Then Arthur Smith decides, listen, like, I understand what he's thinking here. If you go for it, you just pound it in there, you try to get in there, you stole 7 from him, right? And then boom, you're automatically up on the road and you kind of take the fans out of it right from the jump, right? But again, what's wrong with just taking the 3 there, a free 3, make him go down there and do something.
yeah, it's definitely contextual. It depends on how good the offense you're playing is, how confident you are in your defense, and all that shit. I do want to touch on the Ravens one because the Ravens going for two at the end of the game, I don't disagree with it, right? And obviously, as a fan, I think it's definitely more interesting. But if I'm Harbaugh there, I think I'm kicking the extra point for the sole reason
Yeah,
of,
an extra point.
and it's funny because I've seen this argument go the other way, where it's like, oh, we have a backup quarterback against Aaron Rodgers, like we have to go for two there. Well, I don't want to have my team go down to one play with my backup quarterback because these are plays where it's like coin flips to begin with, these 2 point conversions, and you are relying on insanely good execution. And we have a guy that has been practicing the whole season, that hasn't been playing the whole season, I don't trust him to execute a single play to win us the game like that. You can make all the arguments about Aaron Rodgers, this and that and the other and whatnot, but like to me, I would rather, if I have the backup quarterback and the guy that hasn't played as much, I'd rather put my chips on more than one play to execute. I don't want to put it all on one play. Aside
I
from the
agree with
fact
you
that
on
there's
that.
still 40 seconds that Aaron Rodgers could go down and score, like if you give them 40 seconds in a tie game, obviously they're still going to try and go down and score, but it's not as desperate, right? They're not going to be as gung ho because if you go 3 and out and only take 10 seconds off the clock, well then the Ravens could just chuck the ball down, kick a field goal with the best kicker in the league, and shit. So
you're screwed.
I don't hate the call, but I think personally I wouldn't do it if Lamar is playing. Yeah, I'll do it. 100% I'll do it because I got a guy that's been practicing for 3 fucking years in this offense.
I'd probably get it with Lamar too, but just one thing in that situation, I think like it was kind of like caught up in the moment. Like the team wanted to go for it, like, and then Harbaugh was like, "All right, I trust the team. Let's go for it." But there, it's just like you were down 31, 17. You had the momentum, right? You score, you get a stop, a quick stop. You go down there, you score again. I think I just trust my defense. Like if they have to go out there and play an OT too, like we stopped them before. We're playing at home. This place gonna be rocking. We came back 2 touchdowns late in the fourth with a backup quarterback against the Packers. You don't think we can beat them? Like here we go. Like, ugh. I mean, it was a great game, but I don't hate the call. It's just it could have been played either way. I think he put his cards on the table, and
Yeah, it's a cool.
he was hoping for a flush, and it turned out he had a pair of twos.
Well, when push comes to shove, right? I was rooting for the Packers to win that game for the sake of the Steelers, right? I wanted the Packers to win that football game. When I saw that they were lining up to go for 2, I was very happy. I was very happy for the reasons I mentioned.
Kind of felt
you got a backup court, like, dude. Yeah, I'll take like if that is the situation, and I still have 42 seconds for Aaron Rodgers to go down and score a field goal. I feel like for the Packers, I'm kind of getting like 2 different chances to win.
Yeah, you are. It's true.
Whereas, like when Lamar was in against the Steelers and they went for 2 there, I was scared. I was really scared, and for good measure, they should have fucking converted that. A little bit of a mishap where it's like, okay, you can argue it was a bad throw. I personally think that Mark Andrews just stopped running the route and Lamar put it like at 2 yards in front of him. That scared the crap out of me because I'm like, oh shit, like we're not gonna be able to score. We don't have time. Like, so I think that was my argument against it. You got anything else to say about this?
No, not really. These are just 2 coaches, especially that are going to stick to their guns. They're not going to change the way they do it.
Yeah. Now I fucked this up here. So we can either end the pod here or go into our next segment.
It was
we do have the Thursday night game on here. It just started.
Up to you, dude.
I think we'll cut it short. We'll save this topic for next week.
Yeah. Let the week simmer.
It's gonna be Christmas time. This is Christmas Eve. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone listening. Really appreciate the listeners. Hope you have a good holiday season.
I hope Santa's nice to you.
Yeah, Steed, you as well. Good holiday season. Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas.
Yep. Happy holidays to you.
Hopefully our picks are juicy. Sorry we didn't have a ton of picks this week. It's just
the board sucks.
Yeah, not loving the board, especially as a dog money line kind of a guy. And I was looking for the player props. I wanted to take a couple touchdown props this week, but they weren't out yet. So what are you gonna do? Maybe I'll post them as an article. So stay tuned. 3rd-and-20.com. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Hit us with a like, subscribe, follow, all that stuff. Social media's at the bottom of the screen. Peace out.
Trust your barber.
Yeah, get a good barber too. Go find your franchise barber.